Hello and welcome to the Silver Lining, the weekly geekly talk show where we discuss any number of topics that may have come up during the week. I am your host, Uncle Silver, aka Silver Greg, aka Greg, whatever you are comfortable calling me. And welcome to you, my co-host, the chat. Always a terrific time having everybody here to discuss all of the goings on. One particular goings on this week. This week we had a few different events and a few things to talk about. But we actually did talk about a couple of them already. We talked about the Sony State of Play, and we talked about the Nintendo Indie World presentation. We did that on Tuesday. So if you we're probably they're going to come up in conversation today. But we're not going to focus on those because we already did focus on those. So if you did not see those, please check the playlist on YouTube or the VODs down here. Check the playlist on YouTube. They're a little bit better there. And you'll be able to go and catch those conversations that we had. Like I said, that stuff, it's probably going to come up. But check those out anyway, just because they're good conversation. I think they're good conversation, and you were a part of it, so it was a very good conversation. Otherwise, it was just me rambling and complaining for a half an hour. I think they were like a half an hour each video, which I could complain for a half an hour. Hey Ryan, Hero Hyrule, Fox, thank you for the 5 bits. Me watching game, we're expecting nothing, still let down. Sarah Piggy, Aqua. I said Aqua. Aqua Sakura, what's going on? Yeah, it's been a busy week as far as new Gamer Jam. What's going on? It's been a busy week as far as news, and yet not for yesterday. Yesterday was, and forgive me if I seem super tired, because I am. I was up watching the Game Awards, so I was up until midnight. But then I wake up at 4:30 to get ready for work. So I'm running on like 4 hours of sleep, which is not bad. I'm okay. I took a nap before we started, so I woke up a little bit late. I wasn't able to get all of my pictures together. I was gonna have a bunch of pictures ready, but I did not. So we'll desperately download pictures if we need them. I kind of wish I got. I couldn't find a breakdown of the show as a timeline. Because there's a lot of things that we're going to talk about, and they were sort of all mixed up. The Game Awards is pretty much today's big topic. We'll do viewer topics, of course, if we want to talk about something in particular, but we're pretty much going to talk about the Game Awards today. It was, I mean, as far as my week goes, my week was just very basic. It was very. I went to work. I came home. Tuesday was great because we got to talk about all that stuff. It was Tuesday. We did an extra stream, which is funny because, hey, John Pancho and Green Soul. It's funny because I do the show once a week, and we have had weeks where I feel like I don't know what we're supposed to talk about. Either there wasn't any real news, or the news that there was is just not related to us. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not the most techno person there is. Techie person there is. But when stuff like the new CPUs came out for AMD, and that stuff's interesting, but I don't know enough about it to have a conversation about it, and we generally don't talk about that stuff. So sometimes that kind of stuff happens, and it's like, all right, it's not really conversation worthy. And it's sometimes just nothing happens, but then sometimes you get these weeks where there's a lot. There's so much to talk about, and on those slow weeks I think, man, maybe I should not do this once a week, just because sometimes there's not a lot of news. And then there's weeks like this where it's like I feel like I need to do a show like 3 days a week, just to be able to talk about everything, because the stuff just comes out so fast. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about everything, Fox. We're going to talk about all of the stuff that was in there. We're going to talk about some of my thoughts about some of the problems with them. There are a couple of problems there. Trying to get settled in before this discussion we're about to have. I just got home. Yeah, don't worry. We got 2 hours of show to talk about this, and we will. Here, hold on. Today is our Game Awards. This is our award show. So as an award show normally does, let's give away all of our awards right now and then talk about trailers for the rest. Because what? Oh man, I feel like I want to talk about others. You know what? I can't. Game Awards. It's already Game Awards time. Do I have a gift that sums up the Game Awards? Some call me Johnny in the hunt with a tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. Can't wait to listen in on my new Google Stadia, and my Chromecast is on fire. Look. Oh my God. I have exclusive footage of John listening to this on his Google Stadia. Uncle Silver Awards, hosted by Greg Keeley. Oh man. Oh no, I think I have another one. Don't I have another where's my other? Hold on. I should have another gift for that. I don't know. I don't know where they. Oh right. No, here's the gift that wraps up the Game Awards. I think this entire award show is right here. I think that's it. I think that's the whole award show. It was, yeah, they say that the Stadia ad is continuing on to this day. Reggie Watts is tired. He wants some sleep. But thank you, Some Call Me John, for your tier 1 sub. So are we having a pre-show for it? Yeah, this is the pre-show where we give away all of the awards. Let's start with the pre-show. Here's the host of the VGAs, Goff. I'm not making fun of the guy, but every time I see that name, I think Goff. It does not help, by the way, Ryan, that I have a like one of those beer 6-pack stores around here called Goff's. Goff. So it's double worse for me because I used to see Goff's, the beer place, and think it was Jeff's. And then it was probably like the 10th time I saw it before I realized, oh, there's no E. It actually is Goff's. So this is Goff's, and then Jeff is the other way to spell it, which I think the person that decided to spell Jeff that way was the same person who decided to spell Sean as Scene. And you know, again, not insulting the people with those names, but those names are kind of irritating. Yeah, so let's start with the pre-show. The pre-show was a joke. Because first off, everything I saw about the Game Awards said to tune in at 8:30, 5:30 Pacific time, 8:30 Eastern time. When all of the advertising says to tune in at 8:30, that means 8:30 is the show, not the pre-show. So stop calling it pre-show. There's no point. It's like trying to call going out shopping on Thanksgiving Black Friday or Black Thursday. It has a name. It's called Thanksgiving. It's having a pre-show, having a half an hour pre-show where you show world premiere trailers and also give away awards is called the award show. Stop. It's time to stop. We had the best stuff in the award pre-show. Then they gave out a couple awards during the pre-show. They gave out, I want to say they gave out like 2 or 3 of them. I think they only gave out like a statue for 1 or 2, and then I think they also mentioned that 1 or 2 others was already given out. It's irritating. I get it when you talk about something like the Oscars, and we're going to go back and forth. We're going to talk about, I'm going to reference the Oscars a lot here because the Oscars is like the big movie night that gets televised. That, it's not only a big thing, but it's also aired. Yeah, best score and best fighting game were the freaking free. Yeah, how that's what it was. They gave away the statue for best fighting game, and then best score. I don't even think they didn't give a statue away for best score, did they? I don't think they actually gave a statue. They just said that the winner of the best score was whatever. I don't think they actually gave away a statue for it. Green Day is the boomer music. Kind of is. Best music was awarded pre-show. Music seems to be important. Okay, we got to try and keep this on track because we're going to end up going all over the place here. Yeah, so I think those were the only two awards that they gave away during that. They also showed a few trailers. I just don't remember which trailer it was. They forgot to announce, but okay, Pigothy, they did. They announced the best RPG because hold on, role-playing game, because Disco Elysium won, and they said it when Disco Elysium also won. Was it? No, not independent game. What Disco Elysium won? Fresh indie game. I think it was fresh indie game that Disco Elysium won. There was, hold on, I'm looking at to see. They won indie game, best indie game. Hang on. Disco. I have Polygon's page open up, which just happens to have all of the thing. Where's my little search thingies? Okay, there we go. Disco. Fresh indie game, independent game, narrative, and role-playing. Okay, so I think it was the narrative award. They went up to go get the narrative award, and while they were going up, the announcer said, Disco Elysium is also the winner for best RPG. I was sitting there like, that's a major award. What happened? Well, how... narrative, if you're going to pick between those two, narrative is the side award. Best role-playing game is a real award. That's the major award. I mean, narrative is a real award too. I don't want to make it sound like it's not. But best role-playing game is the award. That's the big award. And if you were gonna side announce any one of those, it would have been that. So they didn't even show it. So they didn't even show best role-playing game. It was just a mess. I'm glad I was at work while the show was on. It seems kind of cheap, to be honest. Yeah, it doesn't. No, here's the thing, Hero Hyrule. It doesn't seem very thrown together. It seems very organized. That it's only a trailer show. It's very organized in that sense. In the fact that it is all about trailers. It is all about announcements, which is also in itself a farce because of this particular show. As an award show, and we've said it before, we say it all the time. As an award show, it's a joke. It's not about awards. It's ridiculous. And they're getting to the point where they're not even subtle about the fact that they don't give a crap about the awards. And truth be told, it really kind of pisses me off. If you want to have this thing that people want to aspire to, actors aspire to win an Oscar, to win an Emmy, stage actors aspire to win a Tony, musicians aspire to win a Grammy. There are these goals that they feel they want to work toward, because realistically award shows are just, it's a chance for people within the industry to see that stuff, to celebrate, for everybody to pat each other on the back. But it's also fun to watch, as a viewer. It's fun. We're not invested in the things winning, but it's just fun to watch. But you have to actually treat the awards like they matter. And really they don't. Like the award shows, it's one thing if the award shows took it very seriously and the viewers said, well, whatever, it's awards. But even the award show isn't taking it seriously anymore. And when we talk about skipping awards, I think I was talking about this before. When we were talking about skipping awards, if you've ever watched the Oscars, the next Oscars is going to come up next year, which is where award shows belong, is the year after. Go onto the website and look at how many awards they give out. They give out a crap ton of awards. It's and the show is still already 4 hours long, 4 or 5 hours long. They give out tons of stuff. They need to skip a bunch of them. You could have cut out a couple of those stupid trailers from last night and given us the best RPG announcement. You could have cut out some of those stupid trailers and given the musicians and the composers the attention that they deserved to give out the award for best music. You gave out a music for best sound design, best audio design, and you didn't give out the music for the award for music. You gave out an award for audio design, and you didn't give out an award for music. Like, you didn't show it. I try not to use a lot of rough language here. I try to keep it PG so that everybody can enjoy it. But you gotta be fucking kidding me that you're skipping these major awards and you're snubbing other people. You're snubbing real creators to give us crap, because a lot of it was crap. There was a lot of stuff that was great. I'm gonna catch flack for this, and I don't think I should say this, and at the same time I'm going to say this. I appreciate the spotlight that some of those Facebook games were given. I appreciate it because some of those bring to light very serious situations. They bring to life refugee struggles. They bring to light issues about poverty around the world. I understand that, but Facebook games that it's questionable whether or not Facebook gaming is a part of the main video game landscape, because we argue before whether or not mobile games are quote unquote real games. They probably did not need multiple segments. I appreciate the struggles that the people have gone through and the attention that these games will bring to their issues. But for the Game Awards, 4 separate segments, because I think there were 3 segments and then there was a point where they showed everybody. They didn't need that much attention. Linus Tech Tips had like 4 commercials for the OLED TVs and the monitors and stuff. That wasn't necessary. Sorry, I went off all heated and I missed some stuff here. John said best music gave no award, nor did they recognize the artist behind the music. They didn't even play the music. Sorry. You need to make every award feel big. They all need to be shown off on stage, otherwise the award means nothing. And that's the thing. Press play. When you look at the Oscars and you talk about the awards that they don't show on TV, they just sort of say. My understanding is that they do have a moment in the spotlight. We just don't see it. That's what my understanding for those awards is. The only person who gave it a single damn was Reggie. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Reggie's speech. Reggie's speech was very, very important. Reggie's speech was what I expected from these awards. He showed compassion, he showed confidence, and he sounded like he truly believed what he was saying while reminiscing. And it's funny because the category he was representing was the most corporate sounding one, fresh indie game. Yeah, fresh in. Oh boy. The problem is no one cares about Facebook gaming. We even saw gameplay of that refugee game, and it's like yeah, and that's another thing, Ryan. I didn't want to really point that out. As games without the backstory of their importance and their struggle, as games on their own, they were not great looking games. You know, yes, gaming has a lot of importance. You know, a lot of other things other than just visuals, and their struggles and the passion that went into those games is great, but they were not good games. So, but I understand that. The reason I don't mind that is because those segments weren't about the quality of the games. They were not being given awards. They were just showing off the games and showing off the creators. And I think that those segments are important. I think that it's important to understand that these people who are learning these skills came from these backgrounds. So it's important and it's fascinating at the same time to see that happen. If they were being given awards, I would have been upset. I would have been a little more annoyed, I should say. But they were just talking about them, so that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, too much attention. Also, the tech advertisement. Yeah, the tech advertisements. Spectre Salmon reigning with a party of 2. Welcome from Spectre Salmon's stream, Spectre, and that looks like awesome. Bravely Default 2, baby. We'll get into that too. Stadia ads were hilarious because you're running ads for a service that is supposed to make physical games go away during an awards show where you admittedly are not giving away awards for being physical games. But if physical game media goes away, you're going to see a reduction in the profitability of the industry. You know, some of these games they're still played by a lot of people because physical media is what they prefer. I just feel like you probably shouldn't be. It's like watching HBO and seeing a commercial for Cinemax. It's a little weird, or seeing a commercial for Netflix, because there was I remember we talked about it before. There was an issue where cable channels had a problem, and network TV channels had a problem with the fact that they were running Netflix commercials, that they're running commercials for services that realistically could make their networks obsolete. So I remember there being an issue about that before. Which is right, which is justifiable. It's totally right to have a problem with that. I have a source chat. What? Everyone who went to the theater got a free Stadia. Well, Stadia's, it's not free. They make it sound like Stadia's free, and it's not free. I have a sudden urge to play Magic the Gathering, but I don't know why. Magic the Gathering, a League of Legends story. That's probably one of the more interesting things for me, believe it or not. I tried League of Legends, and I don't know, maybe I didn't give it enough of a try. I know everybody really, really enjoys it, but it's all multiplayer, and that doesn't interest me. Normally, it doesn't interest me. The idea that there are League of Legends single-player games is actually very interesting to me. I'm actually I think I want to try that out. When I asked for Stadia, have a dog look for it. People who went to the theater got a head start in using Stadia. No, the people who went to the theater got new Chromecast that wouldn't burst into flames when they tried to watch Stadia. Okay, so what we're gonna do. I want to go down the winners. I wish I had my list of who I predicted for the winners before. I remember some of them. So we're going to go down the winners. I want to talk about them first, and then I want to get into more specifics. I want to talk about the Xbox Sex and the Bravely Default 2.5 final remix. I want to talk about those, and of course, I think everybody knows what issue I'm going to have with them. But Game of the Year was Sekiro: Hero Shadows Die Twice. It was nice to see that. It was nice to see that game win. Oh yeah, we'll talk about No More Heroes too. It was nice to see. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest. I'm putting it all out there, getting it all out on Front Street. I care less about the fact that some of these games won awards and more about the fact that Death Stranding did not. It's mean, but realistically, I think a lot of people expected Death Stranding to sweep the awards simply for being Death Stranding. And it was nice to see that did not happen. So I'm glad to see that other games got some real attention. You call it awards were a disappointment. Did I get my ribs? Ribs! Spare ribs! So that one, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Okay. Here's where I start to... I'm going to read the second one and then the third one. And here's where things start to fall apart for me. I was completely expecting Death Stranding to take over all the awards like Mad Max did the Oscars that one year. That was a shock for me. I expected Death Stranding to do a lot. The next award went to Devil May Cry 5 for action game. Terrific. That's good. You know, it's good that Death Stranding wasn't nominated for that one. It was nice to see Astral Chain, a brand new IP, get nominated for an award. That was actually very nice. The next award went to Sekiro Shadows Die Twice for action adventure game. Why are those separate categories? Shouldn't it just be action game and adventure game? Why is there one category called action and the other category is called action/adventure? Okay. Yeah. Control won for art direction, which is, I gotta be honest with you, I have been considering checking that game out, and winning an award like art direction makes me want to check it out. If it won best action game, I don't know, that's fine. Art direction, I don't know, it's one of those weird, and I'll tell you what, there's another game that I was actually very interested in that I thought was going to win, because it went on sale a few days ago, which is Gris, Gris. It is this gorgeous stained glass looking game, which is fantastic. When I see art direction and I see Death Stranding is nominated, why Death Stranding is nominated? It's a big green ambergris. Grease. It is Grease. Death Stranding should not have been nominated for that, just because all I ever see of the damn game is a big green field. He's outside all the time. Grease, Sayonara Wild Hearts, Sekiro, I feel like shouldn't really have been nominated for that. Link's Awakening was nominated for that. So when you take those games and you put Control in with that list, I'm interested. I'm curious to see. And I guess that's the point of Sekiro and Death Stranding being there, is that I'm curious to see, based on the company they keep in these nominations, why they're there. So I'm interested to give Control a try. Ryan says Control is very good. Grease deserved to win art direction, not Control. Ambergris. Sekiro is a beautiful game. I think it deserved the nomination. Okay, so maybe I just haven't seen enough of the game. Audio design went to Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Okay, I mean, I guess they got the gun sounds better than everybody else did. I don't know. Community support was Destiny 2. I don't play Destiny, so I'm not sure how much support that community gets. I like to see that though. That's a cool award. I think that's more of an award for if you are in the community, you see how important it is. But what about Raid Shadow Legends? Crisp gun sounds. Yeah, I feel like Bloodstained could have been art direction. Rocky Bear. I feel like Bloodstained could have been nominated for art direction. I just kind of realized my joke could be taken the wrong way. So, who else was surprised that Nintendo won Best Family Game? Because, it depends. But when you screw Nintendo, what is? Okay, no, I'm not gonna go there. Content Creator of the Year was Shroud. Okay, knowing a little bit more about some of these other ones, because I did learn a little bit about some of them. Ewok is actually a very good content creator. Courage he's actually pretty cool. I am a fan of Dr. Lupo. I think Dr. Lupo he comes across as a very genuine, nice person. Gref, Grefg sounds like it's supposed to be me, but it's not. Esports coach Zonic. This is one of the ones. I think they did this one during the pre-show. Fine, just get it out of there. I think they did it during the show, but this was one of the ones where they just read everybody and said the winner is Zonic. That's fine. Get it out of there. Get it out. Sorry, esports coach. That is something that I think people within the esports community are interested in, but that is a very niche part of the game industry. Esports event was League of Legends World Championship 2019. That's not too much of a surprise considering the effort that goes in. Some of these other ones are like, I think I like Evo better, but when you look at the spectacle that is the League of Legends tournaments, it's understandable. It is definitely understandable. Esports Game of the Year, League of Legends won that too. That's probably not as surprising considering that the event also won. Zonic from Ilbly. No, that was Zodic. Zonic the Hodgehog. Zonic the Hodgepodge. There we go. Esports host was Jokes. SJOKZ. Sure. The only other one that I know on this list is Golden Boy. It's funny because Golden Boy, I did not know that I knew him, and then they showed him last night, and I thought, oh, I know that guy. That's Golden Boy. Craig, have a good one. Can esports have their own award? Probably esports has enough to it to have a small awards thing. Obviously nothing like the Game Awards. I don't mind it. I don't mind that it's here at the Game Awards, but it definitely isn't highlighted in the way that it probably should be. Golden Boy, I love that anime. How do you like my swimming? Esports player was Booga. I don't think that was too much of a surprise. It was either going to be Booga or Faker. Esports team, I'd never heard of them. Okay, now we get into the first problem. One of the ones that I had a big problem with before, which was the family game. Luigi's Mansion won that. I have an issue with this category just because I feel like when you say family game, I feel like you mean family participate. You know what I mean? Like almost like a party game where everybody gets to play together. Luigi's Mansion 3 has a multiplayer mode, but primarily that is a single player game. Ring Fit is primarily a single player game. Mario Maker 2 is primarily a single player game. Yoshi's Crafted World is primarily single player. I feel like the only one that actually fits this category is Smash Bros. Ultimate. There's another game that I feel like should be on this list, and we will talk about that one later when we get to that. I was going to say, can you play co-op in a single player? There are some, yeah. Some of those have co-op modes in single player games, but they're not sold as multiplayer games. They're not sold as co-op, family-friendly, or family compatible games. They're family-friendly, but they're not family games to be playing all as a group. And so that to me makes them not qualified. Best family game is best family friendly game. Yeah, that's probably the way it should be said, but I don't know. I think that's kind of stupid. I think at this point the family game section is just best. Yeah, it's just give Nintendo the award. They're just going to hand it off to whoever anyway. Fighting game, a major award, so important. In fact, the best fighting game award, so important that they couldn't even wait for the show to start. They had to give it away during the pre-show. But Jump Force got robbed. Jump Force snuck in from the back door and shouldn't have been there in the first place. Smash Brothers won, and it's nice to know that Smash Brothers is a fighting game. So can we go ahead and put the argument to rest? Fresh indie game was Disco Elysium. Jump Force deserves to be in trash Trash Brothers. Hey Omega Vile. Fresh indie game was Disco Elysium. They won that category. I did not play Disco Elysium. I am kind of curious to play it, and I think that's the point of the award show, is that now you're kind of curious about some of these games to put some of them into light. How Untitled Goose Game didn't win Fresh Indie Game, I have no idea. I also am not entirely sure what separates Fresh Indie Game from Indie Game, because there's an Indie Game category. We're going to get to that one in a second. I don't understand what separates those two. If I had to guess, I would say something that sounds or plays in an innovative way. Like when you play it, you go, hey, I've never played anything like this before. I did not play Disco Elysium, but I feel like Untitled Goose Game is probably more suited to that category. But it is what it is, so we'll move past that. Game direction, Death Stranding was the winner because they had to win something. Wait, there are two indie games. Yes. The Game Awards, or you mean stop vaping ads with an? Yeah, what was with the stop vaping? Games for Impact. Greece won this. Greece actually won this over Concrete Genie, Kind Words, Life is Strange 2, and Sea of Solitude. I understand the purpose of the award. I don't know. I feel like I didn't play any one of those games. I feel like that's an award that you have to have played those games in order to understand. Contra game on Hardcore Opera. Yeah, Omega Vile. Somebody was telling me about that before. Somebody sent me a thing about that on Twitter, actually. Okay, and then here's independent game. Disco Elysium 1, Baba Is You, Katana Zero Outer Worlds, and Untitled Goose Game. Okay, I guess. Mobile game, Call of Duty Mobile, who cares? Although Sayonara Wild Hearts, I'd never even actually heard of Sayonara Wild Hearts. Actually, I've heard of it. I've never seen it. Multiplayer game. I think this one was a bit of a surprise. Multiplayer game. Apex Legends won. Borderlands 3. I'm a little surprised that Apex Legends won over Call of Duty Modern Warfare, just because that's the more popular one. But I guess Apex was, Apex was talked about more. Tetris 99 was also in that category, so I'm a little hurt myself. Narrative, Disco Elysium. Again, I haven't played Disco Elysium. All I heard when it comes to narrative, all I've been hearing about for when it came out was A Plague's Tale. I heard that narrative in that story was amazing, so that's a little bit of a surprise. Can we agree that? We'll get to that. We'll get to that because that was probably one of the two most wholesome moments of the show. Ongoing game, Fortnite won. Fortnite was definitely going to win something, and it's not, that's not a bad category for Fortnite to win. I would have been annoyed if they won something like art direction, but that's not a bad category. It's a bummer that Final Fantasy XIV didn't win that. Performance, I was actually very happy with. Mads Mikkelsen won for Death Stranding, which I did not play Death Stranding, but I love Mads Mikkelsen. So I'm happy that he won. Role-playing game was Disco Elysium, that we didn't even get an award presentation for that. Score and music somehow was Death Stranding. I probably would have picked Cadence of Hyrule just because the game is about music, but we didn't even get any real attention put towards that award, so screw you, Game Awards. Sports/racing game. When you say sports/racing game, I think simulation game. I think Madden Football, FIFA Soccer, Dirt Rally 2.0 was on there. Those are the kinds of games that I think of. What I do not think of is Crash Team Racing. Crash Team Racing won that category, and I don't think it even should have been there. I don't think that is not... I think that is not a racing simulation game. I think it's a racing game, but at its core, it's a party game. I would not say Mario Kart 8 is a racing game. I would say that it's a party game. If you had to put it somewhere, I would say it is a family game. Crash Team Racing should have been in the family game category. That's where that should have been. Sports racing, they are simulation. They are games that are supposed to simulate a realistic style of those games. You don't Madden and NFL Blitz. Remember those games like NFL Blitz, and then there was like NHL Hits. Those are arcade style football games. They're not realistic simulation games. So if you say Madden and NFL Blitz, they don't go together. They're different kinds of games. That's how I feel about Crash Team Racing. Dirt Rally 2.0 is a rally racing simulation game. eFootball Pro Evolution Soccer is a simulation soccer. FIFA simulation soccer. F1 2019 is a simulation racing game. They are supposed to simulate realistic versions of those games. Crash Team Racing is not a realistic racing game. So I don't think that belongs there. I don't think putting those things together makes sense. I think putting sports and racing together makes sense because there are realistic racing games. They used to make NASCAR games. I don't even know if they make NASCAR games anymore. You got stuff like the F1 2019. Those are Gran Turismo. If Gran Turismo came out, Gran Turismo would belong there because that simulates realistic racing. Crash Team Racing is not realistic racing, but that's a family game. That's a party game. I'm a little surprised that there isn't a party game category. Best party game. Because that, you could fit Crash Team Racing, Smash Brothers, Mario Party, games like that. Forza Horizon. Those games belong here. Yeah. Anybody know any others? It's a realistic racing game? Okay, is NFL Blitz never allowed into the sport? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that NFL Blitz, I think, would be family game or have. Okay, no. Here's what you do. Ryan. F-Zero. No. Ryan, would F-Zero be a racing? No, not as a racing simulation. And that's the thing, and that's what I'm trying to get across here. There is the realistic version. There is Gran Turismo, and then there's Initial D. There's a way to do them, and there's a way not to do them in a realistic sense. No, I don't. I think that it is racing in the sense that, yeah, okay, F-Zero, yeah, it's arcade style. Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you this right here. Racing games. If I gave you a game if I gave you an Olympics game that has the 100-meter dash, is that a racing game? Not really. I mean, it's a more realistic sports game, but it's not a racing game just because you're trying to get to the finish line before somebody else. But the game is presented differently. You're being too nitpicky with the definition. Sports are sports and racing is racing, no matter if it's real. Ryan, see, here's my problem. I'm not the one that started the nitpickiness when they decided to create fresh indie game and indie game. That's how award ceremonies are supposed to work. That's how awards are supposed to work. You're supposed to clearly differentiate the categories from each other. You know, this is an award show that created best action game and then best action/adventure game. That doesn't make any sense. That's best action game twice. You are supposed to differentiate those. Imagine if they gave out an award for best RPG/dance game. That doesn't work because they're different kinds of games. You have to appreciate them separately. You can't appreciate sim games, so simulation sports and simulation racing games in the same way that you represent F-Zero. They're different. No. You're right. The Olympics thing was a bad example. Crash Team Racing is just not in the same style as a racing game as Forza. Would you say Mirror's Edge and Mario are different genres? Yeah, absolutely. I would absolutely say they're different genres. I mean, mostly because Mirror's Edge is a first-person game, but they are, to an extent, they are different genres. Yes, because one of them is an FPS game. Yeah, I think you do have to differentiate them. I think that that's important. I think that it matters. They're both platformers inherently. Yeah, but okay, Ryan. Let me ask you this: a platformer. Would you put Metroid, Super Metroid, in the same category as Mirror's Edge? They're both platformers. We use the term platformer to describe both of them. But fundamentally, the way you approach those games is different. The way you approach an F-Zero game is different from the way you approach a Gran Turismo game. And I don't think that that's nitpicky. I think that that's 100% true. I think that if you put each of those games in, you will play them completely differently. I think that when you put a Madden game in, and you put NFL Blitz in, you pick a team and you go and you try and hit each other. When you put a Madden game in, you strategize about the plays that you're going to make. You organize your team and you make trades. You perform a full season. You know, there are ways that you approach those games differently. And that's the point. When you play Dirt Rally 2.0, that's a simulation game. You play that game by customizing your car to make it perform better. Maybe you give it a paint job here and there, but you try and earn points. You try and climb the ladder. When you play Crash Team Racing, you pick a fun character and you drive around and you shoot items at each other. They're different kinds of games, so they don't belong in the same category. Just because you're going fast in both of them, it's not the same thing. You play Street Fighter differently from Smash Brothers, but they're both fighting games. Ryan, you joke, but that's been the big argument. And that's the big argument, is that you approach those games differently so people don't consider them the same game, the same kind of game. That you're joking, but that's actually that is actually the argument that is going on. That is still going on. That Smash Brothers is not a fighting game, that it's a party game because you approach it differently. That actually, thank you, because that actually sort of proves my point. You approach Tekken. No, you do not approach Tekken different. You play it differently because fundamentally the gameplay is different. But you pick a single player character, you learn their move sets, and you fight one-on-one versus other single player characters, and you attempt to defeat them by draining their health, or I don't think Tekken has ring outs or anything. No, you approach them exactly the same. You have different things to learn because they're different games. But you would not approach Tekken the same way you approach something like Dynasty Warriors. Because Dynasty Warriors, yes, you pick a character, you level that character up, or you teach them, you learn all of their maneuvers and stuff. But when you play the actual game, the combat is completely different. So you approach the game differently. You would not play those games the same. I would approach Tekken and Street Fighter exactly the same. Which is to say that I would find a character that I like. I would learn their moveset. I don't have to level them up. I don't have to earn them gear and equipment. I go out into the fight and I fight another single player person and we fight to the end. I approach them exactly the same way. You mean CTR and Mario Kart aren't going fast in vehicles to get the best time with unique twists of their own? I think that in CTR and Mario Kart, you are picking a car that you pick a character that you like because it's fun. You pick a car that you like because probably the way it looks, and there are some stat differences to that. But I also think that you pick up a bunch of weapons and you shoot at each other. I think that it is less about climbing any kind of seasonal ladder and more about how the gameplay, you approach the gameplay significantly differently because of the items and the weapon. That's why whenever people, we were in a tournament once, we were going to be in a Mario Kart 8 tournament, and they announced that they were not going to have items on. And I remember saying, but you turn the items off. This is the same game. It's just a regular racing game. It's not even Mario Kart anymore. If you turn the items off, it's not Mario Kart. Ryan. You're telling me that you're making the Smash argument, but you have to understand. The Smash argument. I agree that Smash is a fighting game. I believe Smash is a fighting game. You're acting like I don't agree with that, but I do agree with that. I think Smash is fighting. Oh, this debate is making me think of putting Crash and Mario into a realistic race. Yeah, if you put a Mario Kart in the Forza, it would stick out like a sore thumb. If you played Gran Turismo and gave the cars weapons, would it still be Gran Turismo? Would it still be racing simulation? No, it really wouldn't. If Smash is a fighting game, how is Mario Kart not racing games? I don't know. Truth be told, I'm tired, so you win. That's it. I'm tired, so you win. Strategy game, Fire Emblem 1. You said, yeah, there is a Lego Forza. Strategy game, Fire Emblem 1. I did not play any of these other ones. Anno 1800, I didn't even play Fire Emblem really, but I saw a lot of Fire Emblem. I'm glad Fire Emblem did win. I am glad Fire Emblem did win. Best VR game, VR AR game, Beat Saber one. I think we called that one because I don't think that really is. I don't think any of those other games was going to win over Beat Saber. I think Beat Saber's the one that got the most attention. It's the one that most people talk about, and it seemed to be the one that most people were having fun with. So I think Beat Saber was going to win that one. I think I want to make a video about VR because I have a significant problem with VR, and all of these games sort of feed into that. That was it. Yeah, same in Glad Three Houses one. Obviously it was we don't have that VR moment. Yeah, I don't think this was a good award show. I think that there were obviously, clearly from the last 10 minutes, there is some speculation over how these categories should be defined. There should probably be more categories, and that's sort of the thing when we talk about, the Oscars, where the Oscars have so many categories that they can't even give out all of the awards during the show. There's a reason for that. It's because a lot of these awards need to be separated a certain way. Otherwise, you start bunching them together. The Grammys? I've talked about it before. The Grammys had that whole thing where Jethro Tull won the Best Metal Award because it was like the first year that they had that award, and it was not very clearly defined. So, that's the sort of thing that it turns into a mess. And I think that the Game Awards is getting to that point. I wanted to ask you, do you think the Game Awards should start including board games and tabletop games in their awards? Because we saw a few different things for tabletop games. We saw there were a couple of announcements for D&D games. They were video games, but they were for D&D. And then we saw the stuff for Magic the Gathering. I question whether or not tabletop games should start getting some recognition in these awards. Yeah, it sounds like Dr. Games. It wasn't a great show. It also doesn't help that some of the categories didn't get proper attention. Like best RPG got a side mention. That is not a side mention category. Gaming has way more categories than movies or TVs. I think there needs to be more. Yeah, there needs to be more definition. They need to actually cover the awards they already have first before trying to expand. Yeah, well, that's absolutely true. They definitely need to stop. It needs to stop being E3 light. It needs to stop being the announcement show and start being an award show like it's supposed to be. And maybe then it will get the proper attention that it deserves. Yeah, why not? It's not called the Video Game Awards, it's called the Game Awards. Yeah, I think that's and that was actually thank you. That was actually one of the things I was thinking about when I thought, because I thought about that. I thought about like, well, maybe they should start including board games and tabletop games into this. And then really quick, I thought, well, no, it's Video Game Awards. And then I thought, no, it's actually not the Video Game Awards. It's the Game Awards. So it should include all of those things. Yeah, Aqua, I would not mind. I would not mind seeing the Game Awards become about gaming, become gaming overall, and not just video games. I think that they're gonna keep it that way. What's his name? Jeff Keighley. I think he's gonna keep it as the Video Game Awards, but you have an opportunity here to expand the definition of the show and turn it into a real, true award show for gaming. You know, real recognition, real attention put onto it. They clearly have the numbers. When you talk about the number of people that were watching it online, they were over 1 million. There were probably a couple, depending on how everybody was watching it. I know there were like 300,000 or 400,000 people watching on Twitch. More people would watch it if it was A, more about the awards, and B, if it was more about gaming overall, because at this point, yeah, it's just video gaming. Tabletop is a whole different audience from games. I'm not sure. Pancho, is it though? Most of the tabletop gamers that I know also play video games. They're not completely separated from each other. Thank you. They're not completely separate from each other. They're not. So it's not like tabletop gamers are going, ugh, video gamers. They play video games too. And there are actually a lot of tabletop games that have made their way in some way or another over into gaming. D&D very clearly is a tabletop experience, but it has made its way more than a few times into video games. And vice versa. There have been a lot of video games that have made their way over to some sort of tabletop game, whether it's Pokemon becoming card games. You know, Pokemon, the trading card game is gigantic, and it started as video games. Yeah, lots of tabletop players play video games, but most video gamers don't play Yeah, Ryan, you're right about that. That is actually pretty true. There's not a whole lot of crossover the other way. I think the problem is that, for me anyway, my biggest issue is that I would love to be more of a tabletop gamer. I just don't have the people to do it. Video games, see, it's funny because if you're a tabletop gamer and you don't have somebody around to play tabletop games with, one of the best things you can do is play video games, because you can play them either solo, or nowadays you go online and you find other people to play games with. It doesn't actually work the other way around. If you are a video gamer and you don't have other people, you know, you want to try tabletop games or something, if you don't have other people, you don't get to play a tabletop game, which is kind of my issue. You know, it's why I would really love to try D&D, but I can't, because I don't really have anybody around me reliable to play the game with. You know, but even outside of D&D, like I have a shelf full of board games. I love Ticket to Ride. I think Ticket to Ride is a terrific game. I have Settlers of Catan that I bought at the Goodwill store, and I've never even played it because I don't know anybody that wants to play tabletop games really. And even when I do, it's like one or two people, and you know, some of those games are more fun in groups, in larger groups. So I'm stuck only playing video games, right? I have nothing to play, clearly. I don't mind nerd-related ads in video games. Yeah. The ads, I didn't mind the ads too much. There was just a lot of them. There was a lot of ad space that could very easily have been given over towards announcing awards. That might work. The Game Awards should have been about the awards and less about E3. Yeah, it's going to be about E3 light. The problem is the gaming companies, from what I heard, making the award show like this. Well, they're putting money into it. That's the problem. They're paying for ad space. There's no way that they're not paying for ad space. So when they pay for ad space, you have to give them what they want. I think that's the thing. I think that the Game Awards will be more about the awards if they stop taking money and start earning revenue from something else. I'm going to talk about something that involved Reggie. It really bothered me that his speech, he championed gaming being a bigger medium than movies or music. His statement immediately fell on deaf ears when we have Green Day and Vindicil capping off the whole event. The only problem with that, Sir Piggy, is that he didn't insult those industries. I don't think that what he said was an insult to those industries. I think that if you didn't want to say it, then maybe you shouldn't have. But at the same time, I don't think he was like, you're losers compared to us. I think that he talked to a room full of people that work on video games, and it's important to understand that that's in a very important medium. Let me ask you this. Are video games the biggest industry? Is that actually true? You know, that was my question. When he said it's bigger than the movie industry, I thought, is it? Are video games larger in scale and probably just money, but are they larger than the movie industry? The movie industry seems so daunting to be bigger than. No, Mendez, we're this is like the Game Awards extravaganza episode. The ads were annoying, but I've always felt that televised award shows like this. Well, Neon, the thing is that the award shows like this bring in a specific audience usually, so you have the opportunity to create targeted ads. You know, when you talk about the Super Bowl brings in a lot of different kinds of people, which is why you see a lot of different kinds of ads. But the people who are going to watch certain award shows, you know, the video game awards, you're going to get a lot of the same people from a lot of similar industries. It made sense to run ads for computer monitors and TVs because those are relevant tools to the video game industry. So it made sense to run a lot of that stuff. The ones that I got annoyed with were, do you need help stopping vaping? Like, what? It's bigger now, but their TV and music are titans in comparison. I think the thing with video games is that video games are a combination of multiple mediums, and I think that's something that needs to be appreciated. That for the most part is appreciated, but I don't think people seem to realize it. See, people say movies and music and video games. They separate them. They're three separate mediums. But in reality, look at video games. Video games have become hold on, we have numbers. It looks like we have numbers. This year, the global games market is estimated to generate $152.1 billion from 2.5 billion gamers around the world. By comparison, the global box office industry was $41.7 billion, with music revenues reaching $19 billion. In music is an interesting sort of thing because people steal music all the time. The thing that needs to be appreciated about video games is you have movies and TV shows, you have music industry, and then you have video games. But video games are a combination of all of those. Games have been more cinematic than they ever have been, to the point where you're getting Hollywood celebrities. You're getting celebrities from around the world that are shooting scenes and acting in these games. You're getting storytelling, story writing in ways that we've never seen before. You're obviously you're getting music, even if the Game Awards refuses to acknowledge it. You're getting musical scores that are made by top tier artists for video games. And then on top of that, you've got the technology industry. You've got the computer programming and all of that stuff. You've got CGI creators. The kinds of people that work at Pixar and make these $billion movies are working on video games. Video games are a unique mashup of multiple forms of media, and I think that needs to be acknowledged, and I think that more people are learning that. And to me, that's sort of what Reggie was talking about, where that's how it's so much bigger. I think the issue is more that you have a legend to the industry like Reggie, and you cap off the awards with two celebrities. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. It's so let's talk about Reggie. Reggie popped up because it was Reggie time, and Reggie did the Fresh Indie Game Award, and he gave a fantastic speech that somebody posted on Twitter and said that they're going to teach his speech in schools. They're gonna teach his speech in art schools and stuff. The Reginator, by the way, he came out with his sunglasses on, which is the Reginator. So he came out, gave this terrific speech, showed what real passion for the industry looks like. That's what we're supposed to see. That's what the award shows are supposed to represent. They're supposed to represent real passion for video game creation, for every aspect of it that goes into it, for the kinds of games that are made, for the way games are made, for the effort that goes into them at every step of the way. That's what award shows are supposed to be awarding. And they don't do it. It's all just trailers and stuff. Reggie's speech, to me, should be heated. And from now on, the award shows should follow that ideal. That these game developers are creating incredible forms of artwork, and it is time for them to be appreciated for it, and that's supposed to be what the Game Awards are for, and are not. His speech was terrific. I probably going to go back and listen to it a couple more times just because I really did appreciate it. The award show kept rolling on, kept trudging on until we got to the end, when it became apparent that we were not going to get any major announcements, which is another issue that we'll get into. But we got to the end, and what was the big announcement at the end? The big, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. Michelle Rodriguez and Vin Diesel come out on stage, which I can't believe that actually has come out of my mouth without vomiting. And they announced some kind of Fast and I'll be honest with you, I don't know anything about the game. I don't know if it's a mobile game. I don't know if it's a console game. I don't know what generation it's on, because it looked like a late PS2, early PS3 game. I don't know anything about it other than it is a Fast and the Furious game. That's it. That's the only thing I know. We used to play Tekken. Well, Ryan, this is also the same person in one of the movies. I think it was the first one. They ask him if he's been to prison, and he goes, hold on, I'm gonna turn the bass up for it. He goes, 2 years in Lompoc. I'll die before I go back. Apparently, it's not Lompoc or whatever the hell he said. It is. In one of the later movies, they sentenced him to the Lompoc Correctional Facility. So apparently, he was saying it wrong, and that's in the movie. So this is who you're talking about. Listen, he's probably the nicest freaking guy in the world, but really, as a representative of gaming, should he be the last major guest that you have on the Game Awards? Reggie should have been there. Reggie should have been there to give away the Game of the Year award, and that speech or a speech similar to it should have been in reference to the Game of the Year awards, and having it at the end would have had its relevance trickle down throughout the rest of the show. It would have been important to hear that speech at the end of it all, to understand how important all of this is and why, with as important as it is, Game of the Year is the award that you build up to. Yeah, he was. Oh, he didn't say Tekken. He didn't. I thought he said Tekken. Okay. He said so. I thought he did say. I thought he did say Tekken. Michelle Rodriguez. Michelle Rodriguez is the one. The not the sister, the friend from the first Fast and Furious movie. She was in one of the Resident Evil movies. She was in, I think, the first Resident Evil movie. I'm pretty sure she died. Rodriguez said that. Rodriguez said, okay, I knew it was one of them. Honestly, Ryan, when they're both on stage, I really don't care who's talking. Reggie is more important of a figure in gaming than some movie stars will ever be. Yeah, it was a mess. And you know, I actually, okay, so here, the funny thing is, I liked that. In the same way that I did not like that it was Michelle Rodriguez and Vin Diesel at the end of the show, I actually did kind of like that they were there, because having them there at the end as the final guest, as one of the most important positions in the show, to reveal a crappy Fast and the Furious game, was the perfect cap on the entire disaster that show was. Okay, not entire disaster. It was a perfect representation of everything that had led up to that point. It all felt like a complete waste of time when they were on stage talking about this crappy game. It was perfect. At the same time that it was a disaster to see them there, it was perfect. So that was the bad parts. So what worked? What worked during the show? All right. We had a few moments that worked during the show. The first of those moments, I think it was the first one, was Ikumi Nakamura. She is a delightful human being. I had it. Where's my... Oh, there we go. No.
It's spooky.
Yeah, it's spooky. That's Ikumi Nakamura. That's who we're talking about. She is a fantastic person. I'm gonna need that other clip of her. Please bear with my. Oh my god, I was cracking up. She was so fun. Such a lighthearted, positive energy. I think that she's amazing. People were giving crap, not giving her crap, because if anybody gives her crap, I may have to find somebody and hurt them. Buddy, okay, you're doing the thing now. She was sitting next to Elon Musk, and there were a lot of people online like, oh no, why do they have her sitting there? That's the kind of woman you take out on the most wholesome date. Yeah, like Latimer. When people say, like, what do you like to do for a date? Oh, I like to go for long walks on the beach. There you go. To take her. She tweeted out saying she forgot she was in a one piece. Yeah, I saw that because she did the thing where she like lifts her leg, but she apologized for flashing everybody. Why was Elon there? I don't know. He owns the building. It was a little weird that he was there, but those events, it's like the Super Bowl. They turn into these networking events that rich people go to. That's what they turn into. You know, the Super Bowl, when you watch go ahead and watch the Super Bowl the next time it comes around. And people are not super duper into football. It's just a place where rich people go. Oh, Elon's girlfriend was one of the performers. Oh, was that his girlfriend? Oh my God, they were amazing. Grimes, they were amazing. I thought that was great. I was rocking and rolling. I was like, oh, this is Cyberpunk gets better every time I hear something about it. Now this is what the music's gonna be like. His PS1 car was on the show floor. So yeah, so he was there, but Ike Nakamura was there, and that's more important. Bunsen and Beaker. Was that not the most delightful, like 10 minutes of show? It was probably like 4 or 5 minutes of them actually on the screen. That was probably the most delightful. It was so great. That's a lie. I watch the Super Bowl every year. At least half the attendance is real NFL fans. I don't know, man. Well, okay, Rocky. Out of what, 60,000 people? 30,000 of them are football fans? Is that normal? If you go to a stadium, if you go to a playoff game with 60,000 people in it, how many of those people are actually football fans? When you go to the Super Bowl and only 50% of the people there actually care about football, that's not good. I haven't seen the oh my hero. You need to go and watch it. It was hilarious. I love those characters anyway. I love Bunsen and Beaker, and to have them joking the way they were, oh my god, it was hilarious with the VR goggles on that he couldn't get off. When he started screaming, I was cracking up. I was no good to anybody. I was laughing so hard. People really love, Neon. People really love football, but a lot of them can't afford to go to the Super Bowl. So instead, the Super Bowl, half of the people are they're just rich people looking for something to do. The Muppets are finally somewhat relevant again. So there was a little skit where Beaker was in, because he had VR goggles on. There was a little bit where he's in Goose Game, and I was pissed. I was so mad because I thought it was going to be DLC. I thought Beaker was going to be in Goose Game. I would have bought Goose Game immediately if you were going to add Bunsen and Beaker to the game. And the fact that it was just a bit and they're not actually in the game is bothering me to no end. But yeah, the segment was hilarious. They went to go and give the award, and the goose was there. The goose came out of the game and was there and was causing trouble. Beaker was fighting with it. It was the most entertained I was for the longest stretch of time. Ikumi Nakamura was great, but the Muppet skit, the entire time that skit was going on, I was enjoying the show. I'm telling you, geese are assholes. It's different because you don't know if your team is going to the playoffs. The Super Bowl location is announced early, so football fans get the tickets, able to experience it. But Rocky, but that's exactly the point. So you just admitted that a large portion of the fans that are at the Super Bowl are not invested in the teams that are there. They don't care. You know, I personally have a hard time watching certain sports when I'm not invested in the team. And you're saying that the people that, because they have to buy their tickets early and because the tickets are like $1,500 or so, I know there's some crazy number probably for I remember hearing before that they were a crazy number, a crazy price for the tickets, but by practice, you're going to have a bunch of people there who don't give a crap about what teams are there. The entire skit felt genuine, yeah. I love the skit. Would have welcomed more goofy stuff like that. Yeah, play it to your strength. Yeah, it was such an amazing skit. Just a large portion of people that watch the Game Awards don't care unless the game they want gets a mention or a trailer. Yeah. You know, it's people don't go to Little League games unless they have a kid playing. You know, it's I don't know. Maybe I am getting too nitpicky. I'm an old man, so I need to find clouds to yell at. So those were the most genuine ones. Other than Reggie's speech, those were the two standout moments of the show, I think, for most people. Then you had one of the other problems that I have with the show. We've talked before multiple times about how this is E3 Lite and it's all about announcements. But the problem was we didn't get any good announcements. We got two relatively decent sized announcements. One of them is very much targeted, not targeted, just specific. We got No More Heroes 3 was announced, which is great. But again, it's great if you're a No More Heroes fan, which is not the most widespread fan base, but there are plenty of people there. There have been a lot of people asking for it, so it's awesome. It's awesome that it was shown. Bravely Default 2 was a great announcement, albeit a little confusing. But that's a whole nother issue. But it was a great announcement. But again, if you are not a Bravely Default player, it was not really impactful for you. The biggest announcement that had the most impact across all of video games was the Xbox Sex. The Xbox Series X. Greg, it's not. No, Lizard, it's confusing when it's explained to you. But somebody outside of the Bravely, and this is a problem with the Series X too. When you're outside of the I played Bravely Default 1 and I enjoyed it up to a certain point, and I never played Bravely Second, so I didn't know what Bravely Second was about. When you're outside of the Bravely Default fan base and they say, hey, Bravely Default 2 is coming, but you know there was already a second game, it's a little confusing because you don't really know. It's the whole Final Fantasy 4 is 2, 3 is 6, all of that stuff. It's a similar sort of issue. Why is there a Final Fantasy 14? Wasn't there already 3 13s? Like if you're outside of the fan base, it's a bit confusing. It has been explained to me what the Bravely Default situation is. There was Bravely Default, and then there was Bravely Second, which was actually a continuation. It was a direct sequel to Bravely Default. Bravely Default 2 is a completely new game. So it's not complicated when somebody explains it to you. But to be sitting there watching an award show and for them to say Bravely Default 2 and for you to know that this is the third game, it's a bit confusing. So once they explain it, it's fine. But yes, at first sound, it was a little confusing. Yeah, when you're not in a fandom, you tend to be invested. Why is my frame rate dropping? Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, well, if we're going to talk about stupid names, the Xbox Series X, that is a bigger problem because that is a bigger announcement. The Xbox Series X is more impactful to video gaming as a whole, and you are now going to confuse people with your Series X name. Yes. We it's weird to say in the industry, but we in the video game are going to be able to sort it out very easily. Most of the people watching this show, if not all of the people watching this show right now, are not going to have a problem walking into a GameStop and saying, I would like to pick up the Xbox Series X, please. That's easy for us. The problem is that's sometimes not who's shopping for these things. The person shopping for these things is your grandmother, who's going out and buying little Timmy his Christmas gift next year. And she's going to be confused. She's not going to know what to do. Yes, the person at GameStop should be able to explain it to her. But the person at Target doesn't give a crap about video games. When grandma finally decides that she wants to buy something from the internet and she goes to shop online, there's not going to be anybody to explain it to her. If you mix people up like this, they're either going to make a mistake or they're not going to want to make a mistake and they're going to avoid it at all. PlayStation got it right. Numerical. Easy peasy. I want the PS4. What's the new one? PS5. Boom. It's simple. They don't keep changing it up. This is very reminiscent of the Wii and the Wii U, which everybody is already saying. I saw people arguing online saying, no, it's not the same thing. Don't worry about it. It's not the same thing. It's people are going to figure it out. It's okay. Grandma's shopping online. People are saying that no one's going to get confused. Everybody's going to know that it's the Xbox Series X and that's it. And it's not going to affect their sales. Microsoft's going to be fine. And call it looks like a PC. Yeah, Fox, I want to get into that too. I kind of thought that they were going with my idea. But I'm going to say something right now for anybody out there that says that this is not going to affect their sales at all. I'm going to get something out there right now. Typically, if the system that comes before it does extremely well, the next system will do relatively well because everybody is expecting more of the same. The Wii was one of the highest selling video game systems ever. The Wii U, comparatively, was one of the lowest. And the reasoning was that the naming with the marketing was confusing to everybody. The Wii U should have been a slam dunk. It should have, if it was called something else, it should have been easy for them to say, this is the next Nintendo system. The Wii was great. Go out and buy this one. And it should have been all clear cut and simple. But because the name and the marketing were confusing, it threw people off and that hurt their sales numbers significantly. This has the potential to do the same exact thing. People are going to be confused and they're not going to want to feel confused. So they're just going to avoid it. Which Xbox do I get? Is it the Series X? Or because they're calling it Series X, there may end up being more. There may end up being a less powerful one called the Series S. Do I get the Series X or do I get the Series S? I don't know which one to get. Screw it. I'm just going to get a PS5. You think that it's not true. You think that people aren't going to care. But as a hardcore gamer, you are able to figure it out. But the majority of the people that shop for this stuff, in some way, probably not the majority, but a lot of people who shop for this stuff are not totally in the know. So it's confusing to them and they don't want to feel confused, so they'll avoid the argument entirely. Everyone I knew had a Wii. Same people did not have a Wii U. They didn't because it was confusing. We are in the know. We are gamers. This is what we do. And I'm willing to bet you that a lot of you, and I know because I was too, were very confused with the Wii U. I didn't understand. All they kept saying was Wii U, and all they kept showing was the gamepad. I didn't know if it was an upgrade for the system. I thought it was a device for the system. So I avoided it. And then I found out 6 months after the system came out that it was a completely different system. I play video games. I'm in video gaming, and it was still confusing to me. This naming structure is going to confuse people. And the Xbox already is lower tier. Even though the Xbox, I think the Xbox is like it's an extremely powerful system, but it's already suffering to the other two. And one of the reasons is that the other two, they're kind of easy to figure out. Trust me, man. I'm from the internet. I don't recall being personally confused between the Wii and the Wii. Oh my God, yeah. And Aqua, then consider yourself lucky because there were a lot of people who were very, very confused. I'm here to get the Xbox X for my son, and then they'll get confused because it was it the X series or was it the One X or the Series X? And then Lilac, there's speculation that there's going to be two different versions of the Series X. So they might have a Series S, which there's already an Xbox One S. It's going to get confusing. It's going to get confusing. They really should do something about the name. It's funny because when they first showed it, it looks like a PC. I wish I had gotten a picture of it. If you get a chance, look up the computer, the Corsair. I think it was the Corsair 1. Corsair 1. Look up the Corsair 1 I'll actually type it in chat. Corsair One, the i160. I type like a boomer. The Corsair One i160 is a mini ITX PC build, PC case that is ridiculously expensive. This is what the Xbox Series X is. This is what it is. You look at it, it's almost exactly the same except for the lining on the outside. It has different lines. What people don't understand is when you're doing something in the millions of sales, even 10% confusion rate is a lot of units now. So yeah, if you only confuse 10% of that industry, that's a huge number, considering that you're going to be trying to sell 20 million of these. You know, that's a smaller install base. It's more confusion, and I think it's a mistake. Yeah, it doesn't help that in the commercials they kept calling it the Wii. They kept calling the Wii U an upgrade instead of a new console. Yeah, I thought it was a tablet accessory. Fox, that's what a lot of people thought. A lot of people thought it was just a tablet that you can use to manage your Wii, and it wasn't. There was another box to it. All the initial reactions I've watched weren't sure the Series X was the next system or an upgraded One X. Yeah, we're talking about people who don't dedicate a lot of time to video games. It's more confusing for them. You know, we're talking about people who don't dedicate any time because they're buying systems for other people. I remember one time in the store, a grandmother confused me for a clerk and asked me for my help to get a game for a relative. Vladimir, I do that all the time when I go to game stores. Microsoft cares about their consoles anymore. Well, John Pancho, I've had this idea before where I think that Microsoft should not have made another console. I think that what Microsoft should have started doing was making Xbox branded PCs that have PC interfaces on the back with multiple USB 3.0 inputs and a more computer style interface. You turn it on and it goes to a desktop. And you can put your games in, and games that are rated, they sell physical games, and games that are rated for Xbox PC systems, the Xbox PC will always support them. But then maybe there's a small upgrade path, or maybe there's multiple versions. It could be designed to replace your computer if you need to go. You know, obviously you're not going to throw your computer out and go get an Xbox PC. But maybe if you have an old computer system, you're still running DDR3 RAM, you know, you're still running an early Intel i5 or something like that, and it's time to upgrade your computer, maybe you could say, oh, well, you know what? For $400, I can go buy an Xbox PC and have that as my replacement system and use it like a computer, but it also functions like a console system where I can buy a game and stick the game in the drive and play the game. That seems like the best thing for them, in my opinion. I thought that's what was happening because of the fact that the system looked like the Corsair One system. I honestly thought that's what they were doing. Gotta head to work later, Hero Hyrule. Maybe that's what Microsoft is leaning. Maybe we haven't seen the interface for the Microsoft for the Xbox X. So maybe it is going to be more like a PC interface. This might actually be a Microsoft computer. An alternative to more expensive gaming PCs for those who don't really need a full computer at home. Since most of it... Yeah, you Brian, if you're not a content creator, if you don't do a lot of heavy streaming, video editing, and stuff like that, if you're building a gaming PC... Outside of gaming, the only thing you need your computer to do is browse the internet for the most part. So why not market a video game console as a PC replacement? As something that you can say, okay, well, you can go out and build a gaming PC. Or we can sell you the Xbox PC for $400 or $500. It is a 4K, 120 frames per second gaming machine. It will run Xbox games and you stick them in and it plays the games, and you have access to Xbox Live, so you can play games from PC. It just seems like the most viable solution for them. But I think the Xbox PC would run into the same issue as Steam boxes. It was confusing with who it was for, but I could see Microsoft learning from that. Well, that's the thing, Spectre. It would be confused. The thing with the Steam box is I wasn't really entirely sure, and I guess this would be the problem with the Xbox PC also, is that I thought it only played games from Steam, and I don't think that that's true. I think it plays games from anywhere online. But you market it as a computer. That's how you succeed with an Xbox PC. You don't you show it side by side with some of the other systems. You show it with the PS5 and the Switch, but you also show it with computers, and you make sure that people understand that this functions as a computer replacement. If you are looking for a PC upgrade, the Xbox Series X could be it. And you make the interface work the same. You make it work like a computer. You go back to the days where you've got things set up in stores so that people can see for themselves. My other idea that I had with the Xbox PC was that you were going to have two versions of it. That you were going to have a version that they function the same, but you were going to have a version that came with a mouse and keyboard, or that came with hold on. It was a version that came with a gaming mouse and keyboard, you team up with somebody like Corsair, Corsair Razer. You team up with somebody like that, and the mouse is something like this, like the Q502, and a gaming keyboard. Or you have a version where you get a basic keyboard and mouse, and you get a controller. So you get the people, you know what I mean? So it caters to two different groups. I don't know. I think that's a decent idea. Wish Microsoft had their own conference. Oh, they do. Inside Xbox is their conference. I wouldn't say replacement. I would say convenient. I would say replacement. I would say, but again, not replacement as in throw out your current PC and go get an Xbox PC. I would say my PC is old. My PC, like I said, it's running DDR3 RAM. It clearly needs an upgrade. But upgrading my PC to a 4K gaming machine is expensive because graphics cards are $400 on their own. Or I can go and get an Xbox PC that will run my games at those speeds. I don't know. I think that there's a way to market it. Oh, you can navigate Windows 10 with an Xbox controller too, so it could happen. I think that's possible. It should have it where you can easily upgrade. Yeah, that's another thing I would like to see with an Xbox PC is some sort of easy upgrade path. A sort of middle ground between console games and full-blown PCs. Because a full-blown PC, you kind of have to build yourself. A cheaper alternative to full-blown gaming PCs. Yes, absolutely. I think that would work. I think that there's a way to make that work. And for all we know... Oh, hey, totally not Mitch. How are y'all? I turned 21 on Monday. Congratulations. Have a drink on me, unless you don't drink, in which case I will have a drink on you. But yeah, that was the biggest announcement for the Game Awards. All in all, a lackluster show. I want to say disappointing. I will say lackluster. I think lackluster is a good word, specifically because we were expecting a lot of announcements, and we didn't even get big major announcements. And most of the announcements that we got were garbage, with the exception of the Xbox X and the Bravely Default 2, and probably No More Heroes 3. Just disappointing overall. It really, really was. But lackluster is definitely probably the better word. It's easy to say disappointing, but I wasn't expecting much in the first place. So it kind of doesn't work. Had chicken Alfredo and champagne with my folks. I feel like Xbox VGA announcements backfired due to how deflating the VGA is. You know what, Ryan? The Xbox sex should have been at the end. I think that should have been the big announcement. I think that you would have done very well to cap the show off saying, hey, by the way, all of this stuff is great, but did you see that we've got a next-gen system coming out? I think that would have been like, oh, that's awesome. I'll shout, that's disappointing from the rooftops. Yeah, no Smash Brothers, which is, Smash Brothers, no Smash Brothers, but I don't know. I don't think we got any announcements that were like, oh my God. Didn't they stealth announce the PS5? I think they mentioned it, but it's not like we don't know that the PS5 is coming out. So it's kind of a lame, it's kind of a cop-out to try and announce it. I mean, we've seen the dev kit. Now, there's something, the dev kit for the PS5. I think that should just be what the system looks like. But they revealed the first game officially for PS5, which was whatever. Yeah, I don't even remember. Was that the God Fist or something? God's hand? Not God Hand. I don't know. God's Wrath or Every Day We Stray Further from God. I don't know what the hell the game was called. But God's Fall. That's what it was. I think it was God's Fall. We're gonna do God's. Was it God's Fall or Godfall? I put the viewer topic card up here. I really don't think there's anything else to talk about besides the Game Awards. But I don't want to not have a segment where you can talk about everything. Godfall, just Godfall, which looked good. Every day we stray further towards Godfall. See, because we're getting up to the system coming out. Some of the stuff that should have been big lost a ton of oomph because Sony jumped the gun and told us it was coming, like Ghost of Tsushima. But again, Ghost of Tsushima we knew about a few years ago. Imagine if they didn't say anything at State of Play, didn't hint. It would be at the TGS. Well, here's the thing. Ghost of Tsushima we knew was coming. So, yeah, it probably would have had a bigger impact if they didn't talk about it at the State of Play. I feel like Project Resistance, the Resident Evil 3 thing, I feel like that could have been a giant Game Awards announcement. Hold on. I want to talk about kitties. I do have a topic, but I don't know if it's something everyone will be interested in. I don't know. At this point, Aqua, I at least want to know what the topic is, whether or not we talk about it. Greg, we need to talk about Pink Diamond. Pink Diamond? You mean the destroyer of emotions? Pink Diamond, the one that every time we get a new Steven Universe incident, it is because Pink Diamond was a horrible, horrible person. My God, man, we'll probably do a separate topic, a separate thing about the Steven Universe stuff. But I know there's 2 more episodes that are coming out, so I want to wait at least until those 2 episodes come out. But man, Pink Diamond, Jesus, come on. Whenever a broken character shows up, I'm at the point where it's like, oh, this horrible thing happened to me. What did Pink do this time? We knew it was coming, but a lot started to think it was stealth canned. I never thought it was stealth canned. I just thought that they were not really doing the development of it. Here's a question I wanted to ask. What game was it that made you rage quit and break a controller back when you worked at the game store? Break a controller was King of Fighters. I don't remember what King of Fighters it was. King of Fighters' last bosses are notoriously cheap and cheaty. So I remember I threw a controller across the room and ran and jumped on it. But they weren't my controllers, so there it is. I always also mention Vagrant Story. I did not break a controller during Vagrant Story. I threw a controller and knocked over a PlayStation 1 that was standing up on its side because that was the only way it would play. It fell on the floor. The game popped out, but everything functioned after that. Have you finished Indivisible? I did, Hawk. I finished Indivisible. That I don't think I'll ever be a video game reviewer, but I don't know that I've wanted to talk about a game in a video as much as I want to talk about Indivisible, because I think Indivisible is a great game with a lot of swings and misses. But it's still a fantastic game. It helps that I paid $20 for the game instead of the 40. But I do think that is a terrific, terrific game that had a lot of misses. All right. Well, it's been announced that there are going to be animated shorts based on Pokemon Sword and Shield, and it's going to show the life and struggles of the children who live in Galar. I thought it would be interesting, since we could see another side to Galar we're not going to see in the games. I mean, Aqua, it's always fun to see supplemental media when it comes, you know what I mean, side stories and things like that. So I think it's a good idea. I don't know if you had a question for it. But yeah, I think that's a good idea. I love seeing that kind of stuff. You know, we've talked before about Star Wars. You know, Star Wars is this big giant world. Harry Potter's one that's major for me, where Harry Potter introduced us to this world of magic and wonder, and all we ever have really, really seen from it are the Harry Potter things. Yes, we have now seen the what the hell is it? I don't know, the guy that is not as good an actor as everybody seems to think he is. They love him, but I don't. You know, the other Harry Potter stuff. But even some of that stuff is almost treated like a prequel to the Harry Potter that we know and love. I want to see more supplemental stuff from the rest of the world. I want to see more things about the rest of the world that have nothing to do with Harry Potter. I'd love to see more of the Star Wars world that has nothing to do with the Force or the Jedi. Norman Reedus? Eddie Redmayne. Fantastic Beasts. That's it. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Yeah, I don't think Eddie Redmayne's a really good actor. Yeah, more world building. That's what I like to see. So I do like to see stuff like that. I feel like most of the bad stuff Pink did is because mentally she's 15. Doesn't change the fact that it happened. Glad Kojima got Best Direction. I'm not fond of the game myself, but at least he got an award. Which, Pink, I think that's why he got an award. I think he got an award just so that he can get up there and talk. SNK Boss Syndrome. Also, can we move slow down to 15? Oh, it's a smidge more. Yeah, it's. I don't think I have a. I only have the 30-second. I mean, we're almost wrapped up anyway. Yeah, I'll consider a 15-second. Yeah, because 30 seconds is a bit, especially when we get these conversation-heavy things. Here, you know what? We'll turn it off right now. King of Fighters 2001 was a joke of a boss. He has no meter. Maybe it was 2001. Idol. Yeah, Idol's kind of a sucky boss too. Idol is a boss. Idol is one of those bosses from the first Killer Instinct where you find some way to cheese it. You know, when you realize that if you hold down and hit the roundhouse kick, he always walks into it, so that's how you do it. Like, Idol's one of those kinds of bosses where because you can't use combos or anything. You use combos and he combo breakers through them all. Hey, Lizard, have a good one. Thank you for stopping in. So you always find some way to cheese him. I thought we could share thoughts on this. Sorry. No, it's okay. I wasn't sure what your question was. That's all. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think it's always nice to see extra material for it. What I like to see is if these shorts involve things that maybe added to the game later. I like when they do things like you have the game, right? You have Pokemon, because it's a Sword and Shield. You have Pokemon Sword and Shield, and then you create this media where you say, oh, well, these are like animated shorts, and then in the animated shorts, you introduce a different character or something like that, and then later on down the line, you add DLC to the game that has the characters from the shorts. I like when they do stuff like that, when they use other forms of media to create something more for the main media. Again, the worst thing about Idle is that he can heal, it'll launch you, and then heal has a definite substantial amount. Oh, yeah. So we're going to bring up the cheap AI in fighting games and not bring up Mortal Kombat 2. We may have to do a breakdown of bad AI in fighting games. Do you think Nintendo Switch will suffer from Xbox renaming, being confused? No. Nintendo Switch is totally on. They're fine. Nintendo Switch is a unique idea and a unique property to the point where its success is not going to be affected by the other systems. You know, when you buy a Nintendo Switch, you get something that the other systems can't provide. So you're not going to get confusion of, do I buy the Xbox or do I buy the PS5? When you decide between the PS5 or the Switch, there's a clear line that is drawn. So there's no question of, do I get one or the other? It is, do I need this feature? Yes, no, okay, that's what I'm getting. Yeah, I have Pokemon Sword. That would be a good idea. More world building to me is important since it can have multiple entry points to get into the series. Like all of the games for League of Legends to get into the lore. If people do, yeah. And Spectre, that's kind of why I like the single player game announcements for League of Legends, because the MOBA aspect of it doesn't really appeal to me, but the stories might. World of Warcraft, I thought the thing I miss most about World of Warcraft is the world. I miss that world. I miss Azeroth. I miss visiting these places where these giant stories took place. I'm sad when I think about the fact that I can't go back there, because in order to go back there, I have to buy everything all over again and pay $15 a month. That makes me sad. If you released a high quality game, a single player game that exists in the World of Warcraft world, I would buy it, because this is my opportunity to get back into Azeroth, but not have the commitment of playing this other style of game. Hey, Blue Wild Wolf. Yeah, this is the Game Awards discussion, pretty much. That's why I love Final Fantasy XIV so much. The main story is amazing. And again, Final Fantasy XIV sounds great. I really can't, I don't know that I can swing a guaranteed $13 a month. I definitely can't swing the time commitment that it takes to be in the 14. Because based on the last time I played an MMO, I don't do well managing my time. You don't want to see the World of Warcraft world building I've seen on the... Latimer, every franchise is going to have a bunch of weirdos making weirdo fan art and stories and stuff. But the World of Warcraft world building, when you go and read the books and stuff, is amazing. Is terrific. I've read some terrific World of Warcraft stories. Time? It's 6:58. The time is 6:58. We are about to wrap up though. Or the time commitment you mean for playing an MMO? I don't manage my time very well. If I really started playing Final Fantasy 14, I would at the very least, I would play Final Fantasy 14 so much that I don't play other games. And that's what happened with Warcraft. During the 4 years that I played Warcraft, I did not play most other games that came out. I missed an entire giant segment of gaming because what time I had went to Warcraft. You're an hour ahead of me. How's the future? Here we are in the future. It's an hour ahead. My name's Uncle Silver, and your name is in red. Oh, so like D&D story. Yeah, I miss the Warcraft world. Then now I'm all sad. Now I miss Azeroth. That's why I liked watching the movie, the Warcraft movie, because it reminded me like, oh, I love this world. When I watched a Warcraft movie and they talk about characters, I'm like, oh, I know that character. This person goes on to do this, and this is this guy. He eventually had his wife gives birth to Thrall, and Thrall, helps stop Deathwing. And it's like, oh man, I want to play the game. I at least want to see the world. All right. So, you can turn that off. Sagers, you can be here at the end now. Didn't Leroy Jenkins have a cameo in him? I don't know. I would have to see. I would have to go back and watch it. I do not remember that. I would be bummed out if he didn't, and I don't actually think he did, unless I missed it. Oh, by the way, we're actually getting a Puzzles and Dragons game for the Switch, which is nice. I played Puzzles and Dragons on the 3DS, and I thought that was a really good game. I thought I could see why it's so popular. Yeah, okay. Thank you, everybody, for stopping in and for hanging out. Here's Steve, just prop you up so you can be in the shot too. Thank you, everybody, for stopping in and for hanging out and for... Oh, skip your question. Well, have you seen the most recent Sonic short? Yes, I did see the most recent Sonic short. It is a little sad that Sonic has now had his nose ripped off, but, gotta be fast. But thank you all for stopping in and for hanging out. Very much appreciate everybody being part of the conversation here. Sorry, I'm going to put it down. If you are watching right now, feel free to go ahead and click follow if you have not already. And if you are so inclined, go ahead and click subscribe. If you have a Twitch Prime sub, a free Twitch Prime sub, you're welcome to use that here. Say it's a great way to say Merry Christmas. There you go. And don't forget, we stream here 4 times a week. So be sure to check the schedule for that, which I still have to fix the schedule. If you're watching us on YouTube, also check the links down below to follow me over on Twitter and Twitch. We do the show 4 days a week. And also go ahead and click like and subscribe and follow and all of that stuff. It'd be very much appreciated. I really got to write that out. I say that every week. But thank you, everybody, for stopping in. Have an amazing weekend. Play some fantastic games. Go rewatch Ikumi Nakamura and the Muppets, the Bunsen Beaker segment of the Game Awards, because it was the best. It was the best parts of that show. And I will see you all next time.